Okay, it's been a month and I'm still waiting for my refund. What should I do? Certainly not a bad idea to contact your tax preparer, find out how they feel about the delay. I've been contacted by many of my clients, and my answer is that there are some people experiencing delays, particularly with the federal refund this year. Not everyone, but many people. I'd say about 10 or 15% of my clientele are experiencing severe delays with the federal refund, but just be certain that your tax return was electronically filed and processed. That's step one. Step two, you can look on Google Where's My Refund, look on the IRS website. You'll need your social security number, your filing status, single, married, filing jointly, married, filing separately, head of household, or a widower. Those are the filing statuses. So know your filing status, your social security number, and the dollar amount of your anticipated refund, of your federal refund. You plug those in, and then it will tell you that your tax return is being processed, or your tax return or your refund has been issued, or if it tells you nothing, then that might mean that it hasn't been received. So that's the best way that you can do that. You can do that on your own without contacting your tax preparer. If you receive a message that your tax return, like that there's no information, definitely contact your tax preparer, find out if and when it was processed electronically, if it was accepted, just double check that. If you receive a message saying that your refund was issued, then you either need to investigate that. Where's your refund if you haven't received it yet? So sometimes it hits your bank account, you didn't even notice. Sometimes a check is mailed instead of direct deposit. That's just an issue that the IRS has had this year. So definitely follow up with your tax preparer, or just check your mail and your bank account and make sure that you in fact did not receive your refund. If it was mailed and you didn't receive it, then you have to call the IRS and ask them to resubmit a check. But before you do that, make sure you have the right address on your tax return, because it might have been mailed to a wrong address. Before you say that you didn't receive it in direct deposit, look on your tax return, make sure that the right bank account information is on your tax return, because sometimes a number could be off, or it could have gone to an old bank account. So, and then a phone call can be made and it can be reissued, or things can be rectified that way. But what I'm getting most this year is people saying, I Googled that, where's my refund? I put in my information and it's saying that my refund is still being processed. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm getting audited? Does that mean I'm going to have a problem? And what I have found is that many, probably not all, but most, if not all, of those still being processed have to do with the stimulus payments that were reported on your tax return. So you received a stimulus payment in April 2020 and January 2021, or you didn't receive one of those and you reported that on your tax return. So part of your tax refund is the stimulus rebate recovery credit. That is because you didn't get the one in April, or you got less than you thought you should have gotten. Whatever the case, what was reported to the IRS is not what they have on their records. So that could be a case of fraud, have nothing to do with you. That could be they mailed out a check, somebody cashed it, but it wasn't you. You didn't get that check, So what they're doing with those discrepancies what the IRS, starting back in February and March, what they're doing with those discrepancies is they're putting them to the side and they're hand processing them. So if everything lined up in the system with what you said on your tax return in regards to the stimulus payments and what was in their system as what they see, if that lined up, your tax return got processed. If it didn't line up and they don't know why for any reason, if it didn't line up, your tax return got put in a pile to be hand processed along with all the amendments and all the paper filings that are still backed up from last year, from 2019 filing. They're still backed up. So all of that is in a pile and it's being processed. What I've seen so far is up to 16 weeks delays. I've seen up to 16-week delays, 4 months from when you file the tax return to when the IRS says, based on the information we have, here's your refund with a small adjustment, like a couple $100 less or $1,000 less, and then a letter will come out later saying this is why, because based on what we have in our system and what you reported on your tax return, this is the discrepancy and this is the adjustment that we made. Now, if that is inaccurate when you get that letter, then I guess we'll figure out a way to address that. But if you told your accountant that you didn't receive the April stimulus, April 2020, and you did, that's a discrepancy. So he or she put on your tax return that you didn't receive the stimulus, and the IRS has on record that you did receive it. So that has to be rectified somehow. That's getting paper filed, and that's causing major, major delays. So it's not necessarily something that you did wrong. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. You just have to wait. And the wait is up to 16 weeks. It doesn't mean you're getting audited. It doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't mean you did something wrong on your tax return. It may have been an honest mistake. It may have been some question of fraud that has nothing to do with you. So you may, after 16 weeks, get your refund that you requested with no explanation of why it took so long. So that's just something that's going on this year because all of this stimulus processing and even the tax law change that happened in February with regard to stimulus is all happening like real time, and just the IRS didn't have enough time to set up the software, their software systems, so they just have to do it by hand. It's inefficient, it's unfortunate, it's inconvenient, but it is what it is at this point. And hopefully it won't be an issue moving forward. Like, none of my clients have ever waited 16 weeks for a refund, ever. Unless it was an amendment that we needed to do paper filing. But any electronic filing has never waited 16 weeks for a refund. So I don't think that is a norm, and it's not going to be a norm. But I'm getting a lot of text messages from my clients, so I'm literally making this video so I can link them to it, and they could kind of hear from me that the only thing we can do at this point is wait. And it could be 16 weeks. That's what I've seen so far, which again is the longest any of my clients have ever waited for a refund. But let's just wait. But again, do all those other steps before to make sure that everything's in line and we're not waiting just to wait. So Google where's my refund. If you get your refund, your tax return has been accepted and it's still being processed, there's nothing that we can do but wait. You can call the IRS and they're going to tell you to wait. So let me know if you have any more questions about that. Happy summer.